Zara Sultana's retention of all that money that has been paid to your party and that should be returned before your party gets its act in gear, if it's ever going to get its act in gear, there is something almost operatic in the way British businesses recite their familiar excuses whenever they are asked to return money they should never have taken in the first place. The script never changes. First, the portentous warning, it will take 10 days to process. Then the 10 working days to process, let's not forget that. Then the faux bureaucratic hurdle, we need a letter of permission. Finally, the pièce de résistance, we require your bank details again, as if the funds didn't leave the very same account moments earlier. And sometimes they require a physical signature. It's a ritual designed not for diligence, but for delay, a soft form of financial inertia, in which companies cling to cash that is not theirs, confident that few customers have the stamina to challenge them. If you try and take an issue with a bank, I had an issue a while ago with Barclays Bank. You can think of Kenneth Williams rhyming slang there. And I had days of conversations, and I was sent off to the organisation in Glasgow, which is designed specifically, the complaints organisation, which is designed specifically to squash complaints. I spoke to two completely foul individuals who didn't want to listen to my story. And then I finally spoke to a rather charming lady who was happy to process the complaint and to write down the details. And I spent a further hour telling her while she wrote. When she read it back to me, it bore no resemblance to what I'd said. I asked if I could write the complaint myself, and again there's a litany of chaos, and eventually she gave me an address that I could write to. And I realised I didn't have a printer on my computer at the time, and one thing led to another. I never did it. So they got exactly what they intended. Delay, and I didn't process the application, which would have ended up in a little payout. But, in the end, you are just so exhausted, and that is the intention. This practice is rife across sectors. The insurance industry is perhaps the most notorious, quickly followed, I think, by banking. Aviva was one company that I had a real nightmare with. Cases abound of policyholders paying premiums twice because of clerical error, only to wait months for a refund while the company serenely investigates its own mistake. It's difficult not to notice that the delay flows only in one direction. Premiums are taken instantaneously. Refunds move at the pace of glacial edging by some sort of committee of one. Telecommunications companies have raised this into an art. Virgin Media has been repeatedly criticised for extracting early termination fees even after customers have lawfully cancelled within their cooling off period. Refunds take weeks, sometimes months, during which time the company enjoys the interest float. Ofcom has had to intervene on more than one occasion. Energy suppliers behave with equal abandon. British Gas, E.ON, and others have been reprimanded for holding on to vast credit balances that build up when customers overpay by direct debit. Ofgem's own reports have identified hundreds of millions sitting untouched in corporate accounts while households struggle with bills. Reimbursements are often withheld unless specifically requested, and even then they meander through a labyrinth of processing periods. Retailers are hardly innocent. Major chains have been criticised for slow refunds on defective goods, even when consumer law is clear. Online giants may process payments instantly, but refunds mysteriously require up to 14 working days. It's hardly an accident. During peak trading periods, these delays equate to tens of millions of pounds sitting briefly but profitably in corporate hands. Airlines offer perhaps the purest expression of the problem. During the pandemic, British Airways, EasyJet, Ryanair were all castigated for withholding refunds for cancelled flights, frequently substituting them with vouchers not requested by customers. Many passengers waited months for money that should have been returned automatically. And this pattern is depressingly consistent. Speed when taking money, lethargy when returning it, and this behaviour of certain political groups like your party, mirrors this culture. It's found in business. Why would we be surprised that it's not present in politics? The reluctance to refund donations or membership fees, the ever-expanding list of bureaucratic requirements, the silent accrual of interest, it is all uncomfortably reminiscent of the worst corporate habits. When the sums run into the thousands, it is no longer just an administrative delay. It becomes an ethical failure disguised as procedure, and the principle is simple. If you take money in error, you return it immediately. Every day you delay, you are profiting from someone else's funds. Businesses know this, politicians know this, and the public knows it most of all. So, Zara Sultana should be returning this money immediately. And the longer she keeps it, the more it looks like theft.